Hey guys, welcome. This story is absolutely terrifying, so sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I first heard about McKamey Manor through a viral video. The owner, Russ, brazenly admitted online that his extreme haunt attraction operated outside the boundaries of the law. Russ boasted that a lot of things they're doing aren't legal at all. But he hasn't been caught yet, saying people have got to catch him first. These boasts circulated across social media, creating a firestorm of controversy. Thousands signed petitions demanding authorities shut the place down. Former participants spoke of severe injuries, psychological trauma, and experiences so disturbing they contacted police. Yet somehow, the attraction continued operating without legal consequences. This apparent immunity to law enforcement puzzled many, myself included, until I discovered the reason: evidence. Every participant who reported their experience to police faced the same obstacle. They couldn't provide concrete proof of what happened inside. People wondered why she could not say who exactly beat her up. Couldn't the detective just look at the raw footage from when it happened and then make a decision on what's happening or why not? The only footage ever released was carefully edited material from Russ's YouTube channel. He recorded participants arriving excited and leaving traumatized, but notably absent was any footage showing what occurred during their time inside McKamey Manor. It was explained that the only footage that ever got out was the edited footage that Russ would put out. If you look up Russ's YouTube channel, he actually has videos of every single person that shows up to his house, but the problem the police have is he edits the videos to only show the person as they show up and as they're leaving. Russ admitted he can't show all the torture because he doesn't want to go to jail. Without video evidence, police couldn't act. Local authorities in Madison County expressed frustration at their inability to shut down the operation despite numerous complaints. Officials acknowledge that McKamey Manor remains a mystery to local law enforcement in Madison County. The mayor out there and others all said the same thing. They would love to shut him down, but they can't. Russ would declare there's no stopping him, no stopping the Russ. Russ's apparent invincibility was about to be challenged, however. I'd recently learned a crucial piece of information that might finally expose the truth behind McKamey Manor. During a conversation with the director of a competing McKamy Manor documentary, I received an unexpected tip. She mentioned that Russ had lost a hard drive, one containing unedited footage of every participant's experience inside the attraction. She revealed that Russ lost his hard drive containing the raw, unedited footage of every single person when they're actually inside M Manor. This revelation seemed too convenient, too perfectly timed. Why would someone supposedly creating a documentary favorable to McKamy Manor disclose information that could destroy it? Something didn't add up. She explained they want to focus on the haters, saying it's basically a hit piece on the McKamy Manor haters. To verify the story, I contacted The Wolf, Russ's most vocal critic and creator of the McKamy Manor Exposed Facebook page. If anyone knew about a missing hard drive containing damning evidence, it would be him. The Wolf said he had no idea and had never heard of anything like that. He warned that I can't really go by what she says. Just as I suspected, the documentary director appeared to be working with McKamy Manor. The lost hard drive story was likely another fabrication designed to generate publicity, a tactic Russ employed regularly. Russ himself claimed everybody knows he uses hypnosis. That's not a secret. Russ routinely spread outlandish rumors about his attraction, claims of hypnosis, mind control, and other paranormal elements, knowing these stories would spread virally online. Free publicity through manufactured controversy. I was ready to dismiss the hard drive story entirely when something unexpected happened. Another woman with no apparent connection to McKamey Manor corroborated the account. She had previously attempted to tour the attraction, and Russ's reaction was telling. She described how he interrogated her about where the hard drive was. He was legitimately interrogating her. It got bad enough where it was Rich who actually had to pull her out. This woman's credibility seemed stronger. She wasn't affiliated with McKamey Manor. In fact, she had undergone a traumatic experience there. Russ had allegedly subjected her to psychological torture while demanding information about the missing hard drive. Still skeptical, I needed more confirmation. The decisive moment came unexpectedly during a prank call I made to Russ, pretending to have hacked his phone. Russ demanded to know how I even hacked into his phone. I told him, I don't know. I just learned coding last night. What began as a simple prank quickly turned sinister. Russ asked if I had hacked anything else. What else had I hacked into? I said that's it. Russ responded that I sound like I'm kind of not sure about that. Russ's reaction seemed disproportionate to a harmless prank. Either he was deeply committed to maintaining this fictional narrative, or he truly had lost a hard drive containing incriminating evidence he desperately wanted to keep hidden. I re-examined all available information, searching for clues. One name kept appearing, Rich. The woman mentioned he had intervened during her interrogation at McKamey Manor. Despite extensive online searches, I found no trace of him. She had mentioned it got bad enough where it was Rich who actually had to pull her out. I contacted members of the McKamey Manor Exposed Facebook page, asking if anyone knew a guy named Rich. Eventually, someone recognized the name. They told me the only thing they could think I'm talking about is Rich Ponder. He went by Anthony Silvers. That was his character name. Rich, I discovered, operated another extreme haunt called Cada Silvis, which translated to murderer in the woods. Despite days of research, I found almost no online presence, just 2 brief video clips showing Rich at a haunted house convention. The logical next step was clear. Travel across the country to the Cada Silvis haunted house and speak with Rich directly. As I prepared for this journey, I remembered a significant complication. Russ was suing me for my previous coverage of McKamey Manor. My lawyers had advised against any McKamey-related activities until the lawsuit concluded. My lawyers had all said I can't do anything McKamey Manor related until this whole lawsuit's resolved. Exposing Russ's secrets would certainly violate this advice. I needed a solution, so I approached Kelly, the woman suing me on behalf of McKamey Manor, with an unusual proposal. I would hire her as my documentary's official fact-checker. I proposed hiring her as a legal employee of the Reckless Ben team, her job being my official fact-checker for the rest of the documentary. Kelly asked if I was asking her to validate my footage to put out there on a hit piece against McKamey Manor. My reasoning was simple. Kelly couldn't sue the documentary for providing false information if she herself was responsible for verifying its accuracy. With this peculiar arrangement in place, I continued my investigation. When we arrived at Cada Silvis, the operators shared their connection to McKamey Manor. They had met Russ at a haunted house convention and believed collaborating with his allegedly famous attraction would benefit their business. Instead, they were drawn into something far darker than anticipated. They explained that business-wise, Russ had a name for himself, so it was the easiest way to get their names out there as well. They believed they were probably the most famous haunt in the world, from everything they ever read online. It was said that McKamey Manor was the most famous haunted house in the entire world. They didn't know that the haunted house they were about to work for doesn't even exist. Obviously, it all backfired in their face. Before allowing the collaboration, Russ insisted they experience McKamey Manor themselves. He promised them an easy tour, a kiddie tour for business purposes. What they received was anything but gentle. One operator recounted how Russ told him he was going to have an easy tour. A kiddie tour is what he called it. But that's not what happened, not at all. Russ put earmuffs on him, blindfolded him, chained his hands to the truck and drove through the gravel. One man showed us a photo taken the day after his experience, revealing severe abrasions across his body. When I asked Kelly to verify his claims, she dismissed them without evidence. Kelly asked if he has his video from his tour that could validate that he's telling the truth. Without footage, these stories remained unverifiable. Exactly the problem that had protected Russ for years. The operators suggested that if any video existed of their experiences, it would be on Russ's missing hard drive. During our conversation, I noticed Rich, the person who had allegedly rescued the woman from Russ's interrogation, wasn't present. When I mentioned his name, the atmosphere changed abruptly. They said regarding Rich Ponder, they're honestly with him and going to leave that up to me. If he doesn't want to say anything about it, it's cool. But that got really bad. No comment, they insisted. Then they asked us to stop the camera and stop recording. Something about Rich clearly made everyone uncomfortable. He no longer worked with Cutter Silvies, had deleted his social media, and seemingly vanished from the internet. Yet I wasn't ready to give up. Through persistent searching, I found an anonymous contact who claimed he could help arrange an interview with Rich. Despite offering $1,000, the intermediary explained money wouldn't persuade Rich. The contact explained I offered him $1,000 like I said, and he just wasn't interested. With Rich, it's never really about the money. With no alternative, we decided to visit Rich's house unannounced. Though he declined a formal interview, our discussion about exposing McKamey Manor intrigued him enough that he eventually allowed us to record. I told Rich we're here to stop it once and for all. He said we're not going to. When I asked why not, he asked if we know how much information is out there and how many people have gone after us legally. He said we don't even know, and we're new to the game. We're not the first ones. There are 2 other people doing documentaries and people with some really big budgets doing the same thing. When I asked about the day Rich collaborated with McKamey Manor, specifically when Russ interrogated the woman, his account was disturbing. Rich described how they did the show, and he really didn't like the way it went. They almost knocked a couple people out and then walked out of it. If he hadn't intervened, they would have hurt her. He emphasized that they, as Cater Silvers, did not get rough with her. They're a bunch of big dudes, and it's easy to beat up somebody smaller than them. It's shitty. But Russ, he said, slapped her. Then Rich revealed the connection to the hard drive. Rich explained that the deal he personally made with Russ was that Russ would film it and they would get copies of everything. He wanted their footage, that's it. What he got was a whole lot more than that. This statement strongly suggested Rich had acquired the infamous hard drive. When I pressed him on this point, his response was suspicious. Rich claimed he had it all on a hard drive. His place flooded. He pointed to a patch where his upstairs neighbor's water heater came through the ceiling and exploded. It flooded the whole place and destroyed his computer. When I asked if he tried recovering it, Rich said he took it to some people that worked for the government, and not even they were able to recover it. So that was the last of the footage, and it's all deleted now. After we stopped recording but accidentally left our phones capturing audio, Rich made a telling statement. He said he couldn't, even though him and Russ don't talk no more. He'd still need Russ's express permission. I asked if he has Russ's McKamey Manor tour, and if it was on that hard drive. This slip suggested he still possessed footage from McKamey Manor. When I discussed this with my anonymous contact, he confirmed my suspicion. The contact said Rich stated almost verbatim that if he were to give me his tour, he would need Russ's express permission, implying very heavily that he still has a copy of it. The contact claimed he only knows because he's seen what's on the hard drive personally. Rich showed it to him. He described Rich as a Russ 2.0, saying, "You know what they say, it's your own reflection that you hate the most." Others I contacted shared similar doubts about Rich's flood story. It seemed increasingly likely that Rich still had the hard drive, but refused to share it. The question was why. Speaking with the wolf from the McKamey Manor Exposed page revealed another player in this story. He mentioned an earlier anti-McKamey group whose creator claimed to possess the nail in the coffin, evidence that would finally destroy Russ's operation. The wolf explained how this person told everybody that he was going to use this nail in the coffin to take down McKamey Manor, and right before he fulfilled his promise, he pulled the ultimate Uno reverse card. He deleted everything. No one has ever heard from him since. The group devolved into infighting, losing focus on their original mission to expose Russ. The wolf left to create his own page with a clearer purpose. The wolf described it as just a world of drama. Everybody was fighting with each other, not going against Russ. And it turned into the point where it wasn't even about Russ anymore. I discovered the original group was still somewhat active, now run by someone named JR. When I contacted him about the hard drive, his frustration was evident. JR said that was like the ultimate nail in the coffin for them, but then it just kind of disappeared. He questioned, if you're going to put the nail in the coffin, what are you waiting for? Just do it. Don't sit and hold on to something for 20 years and then Russ ends up dead, and nothing ever comes of it. Remarkably, JR mentioned he remained connected to the original group founder through PlayStation Network. He was currently online playing Final Fantasy. After sending a message through the gaming platform, we eventually secured a phone call. I told him I was told he claimed to have the nail in the coffin for Russ, asking what's on this hard drive that would end McKamey Manor. He responded that, to be honest, the hard drive thing is really complicated. The former group founder explained his mistake was publicly acknowledging he possessed damning evidence against Russ. He admitted he was open about it, and that's why he was messed up. He should have never been so open about it. He felt like he had the nail in the coffin in his hand. He took a picture of it and posted it to his Instagram, wanting Russ to know he had it in his hand, and then just everything started falling apart. Russ retaliated with terrifying efficiency. He described how Russ did a live stream video saying, "There are some really bad people out there, and he's one of those individuals." Russ put his address and phone number out there, saying that he was trying to hurt himself. People were fighting his family members. A cop showed up at his house. His kid's mum, they went through so much stuff. She told him that's it. She's going to file for custody. And he told people he doesn't have it anymore. In a final desperate video before disappearing from the internet, he expressed the toll this ordeal had taken. In that video, he explained when he started this thing, he wanted to shut Russ down, or at least beat him down to where he never recovered. He'd been fired from 2 jobs because of trolls. He was depressed, miserable, sick. He'd lost everybody who meant anything to him. He stated, "There is nothing nobody can do to shut Russ down. Nothing." When asked if he could prove it, he said no, not unless you go and video the whole thing. He concluded by saying he loves each and every one of his followers. He wasn't saying this is the official end forever, but if it is, he thanked them for everything they did, and that was him signing off. Despite years of effort and coming tantalizingly close to exposing McKamey Manor, he had to abandon everything to protect himself and his family. This pattern repeated with everyone who discovered the truth about Russ's operation. They were systematically silenced through intimidation. It became clear that once you find out the truth about McKamey Manor, Russ comes after you to make you stay quiet. I asked why he didn't just go to the police at that point. He described how Russ was doxing where they lived and where they worked because he wanted his secret to stay a secret. He said if it was just him, he wouldn't give two shits. But when Russ messes with his friends and family who had no part in it, that crossed the line. He stated Russ still does that. He guaranteed Russ would go and put something out online in the groups and say this person is now their enemy, to the point where people were considering suicide. He believed Russ can convince his followers to do anything and could probably convince somebody to kill for him. He's just that good at brainwashing. Every person who uncovered McKamey Manor's reality had to publicly lie in order to feel safe. It wasn't just Russ who would mess you over, but then his cult goes after you too. They've heard the horror stories about that, and it's all real. After learning how Russ systematically silenced those who threatened to expose him, I realized a different approach was needed. Big-budget documentaries had failed to acquire the hard drive. I needed to think differently. My unorthodox plans centered around something unexpected: pizza. When participants surrendered at McKamey Manor, Russ often invited them to share pizza afterward. Previous participants described how after they did everything to them, they invited them to stay and eat pizza. One likened it to Russ just beating the hell out of you and then asking if you're hungry and want some pizza. Most declined, understandably unwilling to dine with their tormentors. When I participated in McKamey Manor previously, I had attempted to accept this invitation to unsettle Russ. I had responded that sure, pizza sounds good, we can meet up someplace. Russ immediately withdrew the offer, saying he'd have to say no to that. Sorry guys. This gave me an idea. As part of my ongoing feud with McKamey Manor, I had created a competing company and managed to legally acquire the McKamy Manor name. I released a video outlining a 10-step plan to take down Russ's operation, with the final step being get pizza with Russ. I explained this is my 10-step plan on how to take down McKamy Manor. The 9th and final step is we're going to get pizza with Russ, and that is how we're going to take down McKamy. While intended as a joke, Russ took it seriously. When trapped in a contract that required him to either share pizza with us or face legal consequences, he chose potential jail time over the pizza. Russ said you break contract, not get pizza, nothing. This suggested Russ believed sharing pizza with us would somehow diminish his power. My goal became creating a situation where Russ felt so powerless that pizza became his only option. I assembled what I called a sleeper cell of secret agents to infiltrate McKamy Manor. The first was my friend Jackson, who created a fake online identity and backstory before signing up for the experience. I announced I'm assembling a fierce sleeper cell of secret agents that will sign up for his tours every single week. The first secret agent was my friend Jackson. He privated everything about him online in order to make a fake backstory for himself. Russ's paranoia about my plan led him to subject Jackson to unusual tests to verify he wasn't working with me. Though Russ identified Jackson as my agent, the experiment revealed something valuable. Russ was becoming increasingly unstable and paranoid. I noted that Russ needed to make these tests harder. Out of the 177,000 people that he had signed up for his haunted house, he chose the one secret agent that I sent. My next agent, Danny, attempted to enter the attraction quickly before Russ could create excuses to deny him entry. When this failed, we developed a more elaborate strategy. I became a licensed rideshare driver, positioning myself to pick up Jackson when he inevitably failed to enter the attraction. I proudly stated, "I'm an Uber driver now." At some point, when Jackson fails to get into the haunted house, he's going to call an Uber to pick him up. And one thing people might not know about Summertown, Tennessee, is there are pretty much no Ubers anywhere. So the odds that Jackson picks me to be an Uber driver is pretty much 100%. This legal pretext would allow me to be on Russ's property. Meanwhile, Danny would pose as a food delivery driver bringing pizza. I explained that now that I have a legal excuse to be at Russ's house, I will then pull out my phone and order pizza from DoorDash, which the DoorDash driver will be Danny, my friend who went through McKamey Manor last week. To ensure Russ would eat the pizza, I modified Jackson's contract with Russ. The contract stated Russ agrees to allow Ben Schneider, Danielle Burke, and Jackson to stay on the property of McKamey Manor until Russ McKamey completely finishes eating at least 3 slices of pizza. The plan hit a snag when Russ instantly recognized us both. Russ shouted that we're haters and to get off his property. I responded that it's legally binding that he has to take the pizza with us. Russ responded by calling the police, but our operation wasn't a complete failure. Jackson had followed instructions perfectly, refusing to give up despite Russ's increasingly desperate attempts to break him. This visibly rattled Russ, who seemed unsure how to handle a participant who wouldn't surrender. Russ told Jackson if he begs for the baby tour, it'll go much easier. Jackson refused to beg. Russ complained that Jackson wasn't doing it. Jackson insisted he was doing what Russ was saying. Russ told him he's got to try to do these things. Jackson insisted he was trying. Russ said if Jackson can't do it, then he needs to go lighter and go with the baby tour. Jackson refused. Russ pointed out that Jackson wasn't doing the big boy tour either. For our final attempt, we created a multi-layered deception. We hacked into McKamy Manor's Twitter account as a distraction while sending in our last secret agent, Nathan, who Russ had previously encountered as the Burger King guy but failed to recognize. I told the Burger King guy to listen to me. I announced we just hacked into McKamy Manor's Twitter and we will give him his Twitter back as long as he agrees to get pizza with us. Russ, embarrassed by his inability to break recent participants, changed locations to evade us. He devised a scavenger hunt for Nathan, believing he would never complete it. Russ said it's going to be straight to the show, but Nathan's got to locate him first. Russ explained he's at the second location, and Nathan's going to have to follow directions like it's a little treasure map. Using metadata from Russ's livestream, we determined his actual location and sent Nathan there, completely surprising Russ. Russ repeatedly told Nathan to get off the property now. Nathan expressed confusion. Russ just kept telling him to get off the property now. Nathan said he did all this for nothing. Russ insisted he get off his property. Nathan said he was just doing what Russ said. Russ continued telling him to get off the property, while Nathan expressed his confusion. Having legally acquired McKamy Manor's company, I arrived and announced myself as the new owner, intending to put Russ through his own attraction. When police arrived, I presented documentation proving my ownership and explained our arrangement. I explained that I actually bought McKamy Manor's company from them, and I am the legal CEO of McKamy Manor. I told the police the safe phrase was for Russ to take one bite of pizza. The officers examined our paperwork while Russ gradually realized he was experiencing his own attraction's tactics firsthand. Seeing no escape, Russ finally relented. Russ asked if Ben and Danny are out there watching, saying he has some pizza here. "There it is," he repeated. He clarified they're obsessed about pizza, and here we go. He asked if that counts as he took a bite. By taking a bite of pizza, Russ effectively surrendered, acknowledging defeat. His power to intimidate and blackmail had been broken. Shortly after this confrontation, I received word that the hard drive, the one multiple documentarians had competed for but failed to obtain, was being shipped to my house. Before its arrival, I received a phone call from someone who had suffered at Russ's hands. The caller said that man is evil. He might be playing around in his front yard for show, but the stuff that he did to people behind closed doors is the problem. This guy is a scumbag, nasty piece of garbage, and he's gotten away with it for this long. And every time he stops, he starts right back because he thinks he's untouchable. The caller didn't know, but Russ has got to burn, has to burn, deserves to burn. He told me I'm so close. I got everything he had and more. The LLC, the hard drive, everything I needed. He just wants this person to go down. With the hard drive finally in my possession, the full truth about McKamey Manor could at last be revealed. The nightmare that had traumatized countless participants would finally face the light of day. It was time to take down McKamey Manor. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's horror story and want more creepy tales like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. If you've got your own scary experiences, or if you have any feedback on the quality of my narration and the writing, I'd love to hear about your opinion in the comments below. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next video.